free. I need to be free.
Take the shackles off my feet so I can dance. I just wanna praise you. I just wanna praise you.
Hello and welcome to Unshackled. I am Dominic Dixon. And with me in the studio today is a friend of mine, Leroy Simon. He's a national coach for the women's wheelchair basketball team. He's also a man of God who proclaims the gospel in the way he lives his life. Brother, I want to welcome you to the show and thank you for coming and for joining us.
Thank you for having me here.
You know, when I look at you, I have to look up to you all the time. How tall are you, by the way?
6'3.5".
Almost my height, is it? 6'3.5". I just remove more than a foot for me. And tell me about your journey. How did you end up holding such an important task in the nation of India?
Well, I must say it's really the hand of God that brought me to such a high level. From childhood, I've been into sports. I played basketball from a young age and then slowly progressed forward. Tried to get into the able-body section. I've done my certifications, international certifications, but still didn't make any headway. So I kept in prayer. I said, Lord, I've come so far, not moving forward. Then I got an opportunity to be a part of the referees training program for wheelchair basketball. And from then on, God just kept opening doors and became the head coach.
Fantastic. I mean, being a coach itself brings a lot of responsibilities. What added responsibilities does being the national coach for the wheelchair female basketball team?
Well, it's a huge challenge. One is the responsibility of the nation is sort of on your shoulder.
Exactly.
And then when you have the media around you, it adds more pressure. And so then as a coach, you have to handle the administration, the media and the players. So the first time when I became the coach, it was quite a roller coaster for me. It took some time for me to balance out my emotions and the technicality of the game and all that. So it is quite a burden, not burden, I would say it's quite a load to bear.
How did you get into, before you become your coach, what was your journey? How did you play basketball? At what level did you play? And
So I was part of the school team. I studied in Bishop Cotton's. So I joined the school team. I played state. And then after an injury, I stopped playing basketball. I got into coaching. So in my PU and degree, I was the coach and the captain for the team.
Oh wow, okay.
So then I found my calling in coaching.
Very good.
And then playing. So then I switched over from playing into coaching.
So finding your calling is so important even if you're an athlete.
Yes, very
Sometimes you may be a better coach than an athlete. Is that what it is?
Yes,
Wow.
very true.
And that's when you make champions out of people.
Right.
What was you had an international tournament recently, right?
Yes.
Where was that?
We had it in Bangkok. It was conducted in Bangkok. It was for the Asia Para Qualifiers.
Okay.
So if we had got selected, we would have been part of the 2020 Olympics.
Fantastic. I think we came third or something, right? You were saying?
We came 7th, but in the tournament before that, in Bali, we secured the 3rd place.
Fantastic.
Our first international medal.
What do you think? India, this is the first international medal while you were the coach.
Yes.
That's congratulations for that.
Thank you.
It's a feather in the hat. What has been your what you said? Your calling is to be a coach, and in doing so, how do you seek the Lord that you become the coach that God would want you to be?
That's a good question. Every player comes with a whole lot of baggage and their own sets of behavioral problems. So in trying to understand everyone and putting oneself out there and helping that person with that particular kind of talent to reach their maximum potential is what I seek the Lord regularly when I have a team on me. So I'm constantly thinking about the game, constantly thinking how they gel with the team. What best way can we readjust our training schedule in order that the team bonds together. Because we can have excellent players, but if the team's not bonded, then...
You were telling me about the Chinese team that came first, and you spoke to the coach about... Can you share about that?
Yeah, so the Chinese team were the winner for the Asia Para qualifiers. So we got talking to the coach, and he said he brought his B team. And in a basketball game, you bring 12 players.
Correct.
He bought 6.
Wow.
And then further talking with him, he said his B team has been playing together for the past 7 years,
Wow.
and they've still not made it to the A team.
See that.
So
Can you imagine the A team?
Yeah.
This is amazing. You know, I wanted to ask you, even though you don't share the gospel with the players or with other coaches, you just live the gospel. In doing so, people have obviously recognized you as a Christian. They've recognized your Christian values. Considering that this is a special, what do you call that? A differently abled team. They must be battling with their own issues about why did God do this to me, or you know, if you talk about God, they would. How would their response be to their situation, to their condition?
That's very interesting, because I did try to share openly about Jesus, and one person asked me, "Why did your Jesus make me, the way I am today?" And then from then I was stumped, because you can't say Jesus loves you, and the next question is, "Why am I disabled?" But I found that like every one of us need hope. We search for identity.
Correct.
So if you can be a catalyst in bringing and helping a person find that identity, is, I think, one of the biggest ways of sharing the gospel.
Correct. But you also gave them a humorous response when they asked you why Jesus made me this way.
Right. I told them that, if you weren't here, then you wouldn't have been on the Indian team, because it's quite a challenge. So.
Okay, good. And speaking about challenges, what are the challenges you face, especially in a country like India, where cricket is a religion? And I think India, being a pluralistic nation, when it comes to religion, we are pluralistic in that too. But when it comes to sports, we are we're monotheistic about, okay, there's only one religion, one God, which is cricket. And how do you, as a coach for a team such as this, get your encouragement from the government or the support from the government?
Well, right now we don't have any major government funding yet, but we've seen in the past, like for the Indian team, the government has provided their facilities. We are yet to educate ourselves in order to meet the needs and requirements for a person who's differently abled. So, but one thing good the government has done is they've implemented the rule that says every cinema theatre or every public building should have a ramp that is wheelchair accessible.
Correct.
So the government is in the process now. So our biggest challenge is accessibility anywhere, whether it be in the bus, train, or flight.
Dash, I want to get to you a bit personal. How has your journey of faith been through all this time? What happened when you could not be an athlete anymore? How did you respond? How did you take that to God?
It was very disappointing, because it was quite a bad incident where I dislocated both my wrist bones.
Oh my God.
And then I still continued to play, but not up to that level. Then after I dislocated once, I dislocated it 6 more times.
Oh my.
Yeah. So
How do you manage to? By falling down?
By falling down.
Oh.
So I would get better 3 months into physiotherapy. Then I would wrap a crepe and get back on the court. And then I would fall and get dislocated again. But then the doctor said, if you continue like this when you're 40, you'll suffer. That's when I took it seriously. So that was quite a setback for me. I, in a way, lost my purpose. Because I wasn't the best player, but I was good at what I did. So, and people did look up to me. So that was quite a shift in my thought. But then I didn't know like coaching was my calling, or I was meant to do it. But a lot of struggle.
So in hindsight, have you reconciled with the fact that you could not continue as an athlete but as a coach?
Yes, very much so.
Okay. Would you still prefer it to have happened the way it did?
Well, minus the injury.
Minus the injury.
Yeah.
But you're grateful to God that all things work together.
Yes.
For the good, for those who love Him, those who are called according to His purpose.
Absolutely.
And even in coaching, how did you handle your disappointments, or you could give us an example of your disappointment?
Well, in personally or with the team?
Personally, with the team, whatever challenges. The objective I want to know as to how you've handled your situation.
Well, the transition from being a player to a coach was sort of quick because I was part of the church team and the college team. So my primary role was to train people in basketball. So by God's grace, the transition was good, but it still didn't click that, this is where I had to be. So I loved coaching. The moment I saw someone doing something fantastic, I'd be the first to go, get up and clap. So,
and what do you think God has called you to do from this day on?
I know my forte is to be around people. I'm not a person who can sit behind the desk. So if people are there around me, then I know I can, by God's grace, build someone up and encourage someone.
What is your message to other athletes who suffer from injury and they're not able to move? I have a couple of friends who played for the national cricket team, and they've struggled because of an injury, and they're not able to perform anymore. It's so cutthroat, right?
Very true.
A lot of them have gotten into depression.
Yeah.
What's your message to the athletes who have been injured?
I would say there's always hope. Try another sport, or if you're still interested in cricket, go for it. There's no wheelchair cricket, there's blind cricket, there's a whole lot of things happening now. The world is expanding. It wasn't like 20 years ago.
Correct.
If you can't play the sport, you're out. But now there's so much happening. So there is hope. There is, as long as you want to give it your best, you'll get the best.
Amen.
Like a very famous coach told me, he said, Lee, if you love the game will love you back. And that
If you
is
love
true.
the game would love you back.
Yes. That holds true.
That's profound.
Yes.
Profound. What happens if you get injured now and you cannot coach? God forbid. But what happens?
As long as my mind is working and I can speak, then I'll continue to coach.
No, the reason why I asked you this question is when I have these interviews, when I talk to people, there's always a question, what if? To what extent would you continue loving your God? Incidents have happened and they said, okay, what if it happened this way? Will you still love and trust God? So you're, moving with you and our friendship, I've seen your commitment to the Lord. What causes you to be so committed to Jesus Christ?
I would say His love, honestly. Because in my past days, I wasn't a godly boy who walked the path. I was in my own ways and wandered off. But then in an encounter when I met the Lord, I've never felt so clean in my life.
Wow.
It was such an experience I can't describe, but all I know is from within and outside, I was so clean and I was so loved. And I don't think that will ever run away.
Amazing.
And even after accepting the Lord, I've not been perfect, but His love draws us close.
His love is perfect.
Yeah, it's amazing.
You had a stint in the US. How many years were you there for?
3 years.
And what were you doing there?
I was a camp counselor. So I worked in a camp in North Carolina. So where we stayed with kids for a month. So there would be 2 camp counselors and 13 kids in a cabin. So we would stay with them, share life with them, speak to them, and just share life, and it was an amazing experience. So there also, in hindsight, if I look at it now, I love to be involved in people's lives.
Wow, fantastic.
And that's what gives me a drive, to help someone get better.
Fantastic. Now, your journey with life, are you involved with your church, with other ministries?
I was involved with other ministries, but now I have dedicated myself to wheelchair basketball and a little bit of counseling. So,
do you end up counseling your the people whom you train, the athletes whom you train?
Yes, quite a bit.
I think a lot of your time goes into that.
Yes.
Because that's your passion. And what results do you see when you counsel them?
Sometimes a smile, sometimes anger.
Wow. Why anger?
Because the truth is hard, and if we have not accepted the state that we are in, it's very difficult to move forward. And a lot of
even though they are star athletes, national athletes, they still are not sometimes reconciled with the situation.
Yes, because of other external factors also. It can be a loss in a relationship, or it can be because they're disabled, they're unable to do certain things. So it's a challenge for them. It's a huge challenge. Until we people view them as part of us, till then I think, I mean, that's the biggest challenge. Because we find a lot of people take pity on someone who's disabled rather than being empathetic. And
Somebody told me this: we do not need anybody's sympathy. One of the
Absolutely.
differently abled people in one of the countries I've traveled, he said, we do not want to be treated differently. Treat us the same.
Absolutely, that's right.
What do they mean by that? Because I sometimes find it hard to understand how do we treat them the same as other people, because they do have special needs, and in our own goodness we want to go and reach out to them, but sometimes they do not want to be reached out to. Why is that?
I'll give you an example. Like when we went to Bangkok for the tournament, we had top level officials who were on wheelchairs,
Oh, okay.
and they would go up on a ramp that's about 45-degree incline, and out of courtesy, or we would want to go help them, and they would turn around and shout at us saying, as long as I have strength here, don't touch me.
Wow.
If I need help, I'll call you. And this guy is in his 60s, had about 14 surgeries on his spinal cord.
My God.
He says, still I have strength, don't touch me.
Wow.
Until I call you.
Till I have strength. You've been listening to Unshackled, and we are talking about how God uses people like Lee to reach out to a hurting, a broken world, dealing with people who have special needs. More than their physical needs, many a times is because of the physical needs, there's more of an emotional need that is required. So what Lee does is he counsels whomever he trains, whomever he coaches, because the Word of God says that Jesus is a wonderful counselor, and counseling is such an important element in whatever we do. You've been watching Unshackled, and I am Dominic Dixon. And Lee, I want to thank you so much for joining us in the studio. You've been a blessing.
Thank
and
you.
continue doing the good work that God has called you to do.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Take the shackles